Now, let me recognize Councilmember Mendelson on the African American Civil War Memorial Freedom Foundation Incorporated African American Civil War Museum Emergency Act of 2009. Mr. Mendelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What is being circulated now is both the declaration and the bill, as well as the plan that the bill would approve. When the Council adopted the Budget Support Act for FY 2010 and the emergency version of the Budget Support Act, we included in it funding for the African American Civil War Memorial Freedom Foundation for them to relocate their museum. But we required in the funding that a plan be submitted to the Council for approval, and that's what this is. So we have the plan, we have the costing table, and I move the declaration. I do want to say that I am co-moving this with Councilmember Graham and Councilmember Thomas. I don't know if they want to speak to this.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Graham.
Yes, I want to acknowledge the presence of our former colleague, Councilmember Frank Smith, who has, of course, led this very important effort on U Street year after year after year. He's also sat patiently through still another meeting. And that's the point I want to make here. It's time to get on with this. It truly is time to get on with this. You know, the African American Civil War Memorial and Museum is a project that has been developed to a very substantial extent. And we're all very proud of what has happened there. But it needs a permanent home. It needs a place where it can develop its exhibits, develop its presentations, its training, its educational facilities. And the Grimky School is the perfect location in an area where it's going to get tougher and tougher to find a good location. And, you know, we've gone through many discussions about this. I'm very pleased that the Council required a plan, and I'm very pleased with the plan that we have before us. We really have to move on to this. Now, I hope also that we can get fire and emergency medical services and corrections out of the building. It would be a great relief to our neighborhood if we could relocate these facilities somewhere where they're not parking on the sidewalk and in front of fire hydrants and everything else. And Chief Rubin has been outstanding in terms of attempting to correct this situation. But the fact of the matter is that it's misplaced. What is correctly placed is the African American Civil War Memorial Museum.
You can have them in Ward 2.
What?
We'd love to have them in Ward 2.
Well, did you want to say something, Councilmember Evans? Am I intruding on your thought process?
It's now 1:50, and I can see it starting to set in.
Anyway, I was just kidding a little bit. This is a good action for us today, and I'm very supportive of it. Thank you very much, Mr. Mendelson, for clearing the path for this to happen. Thank you.
Councilmember Thomas. Thank you, Councilmember Graham.
Let me just say that while Jim wants government agencies to leave, we'd love to have them in Ward 5. Mr. Evans is the government, and that's why we had a public property disposition bill before, to ensure that the public weighs in, and so hopefully our public will do that. But let me just say on this matter, first and foremost, it is noble work that some who I followed in his footsteps, Frank Smith, is undertaking. And the African American Civil War Memorial Museum at Grimky School, and making sure that through this emergency with Mr. Graham, and I must say, Mr. Mendelson, thank you very much for making sure that you asked the things you asked, you decided that those were relevant things, and that our former colleague has supplied us with those things to help us move forward. This is going to be second to none, Mr. Graham, and you will be so proud to have this in your ward. And I am one to stand as it comes through my committee and to making sure that the dollars got to this process. This is the kinds of things we need to do to enhance our communities, to make sure that we bring the kind of cultural sensitivity and historical perspective to neighborhoods that long deserve it. And what a better champion than Frank Smith to be the leader of this charge. And so, Mr. Graham, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for readily accepting this in your ward. And I encourage the rest of the members to support this measure.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Barry?
Chairman, let me thank Mr. Mendelson, Mr. Thomas, and the other person that's on this. I wanted to be on it, but apparently Mr. Graham, but I'll speak to it anyway, because I have been a long-time supporter of the African American Civil War Museum, long-time supporter of the founder and colleague of mine, Frank Smith, who at one point represented Ward 1, who worked with me in the 60s in the civil rights movement in the cotton fields of Mississippi and Alabama and all those other places. And he's been vigilant. I mean, he has been vigilant. I mean, he's called many of us at midnight, making sure that there was no slip between the cup and the lip. And so we want to commend you, Mr. Smith, for your tenacity. But this is not, I agree with Mr. Graham, we need a permanent place there. And phase 1 is 5,000 square feet, and in the main building another 5,000 square feet. We need that to be on Front Street, not in the back someplace, Mr. Graham. And Mr. Smith was very graciously involved with let's do this now to get us moving, because we got to get out of our permanent place we are now. Then Mr. Mendelson was very, very supportive of the shift, because the mayor proposed to move the fire and corrections from the Grimky, close it down, and probably put it out for developers, if that's where he operates, like he did with Stevens, like he's trying to do with Hines. And so I thank Mr. Mendelson for being stick-to-itiveness, working on this, Mr. Graham working on this, Mr. Thomas working on this, because this is going to be an asset not only to Washington, D.C., it could be an asset to the nation, in the sense there's a lot of history here about the African American Civil War veterans that needs to be uncovered still. And I've learned a lot from Mr. Smith and the people there. I thought I knew a great deal about this, but the more he talks to me, the more I learn about it, and the more the citizens of the District of Columbia will get a good feeling about it. So I intend to support this bill with enthusiasm, and to commend the chair of the committee, Mr. Graham, Mr. Thomas, and the chairman and the council, who's also followed this, was very instrumental during the negotiations in the Budget Support Act that got us to where we are. And so this is a great day for the African American Civil War Museum and Frank Smith and the people of Washington and the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. Further discussion? I just want to echo the sentiments that already have been expressed. It's been a real pleasure to have supported this from the time that we introduced it in the Budget Support Act until this day. I have been there. I have seen the work that has been done. I have seen the passion, the commitment of former council member Frank Smith. What an incredible leader he has been on this issue. And it just feels good to be able to sit here and do something that you know is good for the people of the District of Columbia. This will be an exciting action when it is fully consummated. And I'm going to call on Councilmember Smith for his work on this effort, because it has contributed mightily to the culture of the city, and certainly to understanding the role of African Americans in the history of this nation. So thank you, Councilmember Smith, for what you've done. And to me, this is a very small way in which the council can participate in preserving this very important aspect of our history. Further discussion? Are we missing some people? Where's Mr. Wells? Bet I know where they are. Bet I know where they are too. All right, I think we have everybody. Is Councilmember Che down there? Okay. All right, all in favor, so indicate by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. I think that's on the deck, right? So on the measure, Mr. Mendelson?
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor, so indicate by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. And this plan looks great, Councilmember Smith. We look forward to seeing the translation of it into what we know Grimky will look like.